Hey y'all, I'm the Hotshot Doc, a real life doctor and a hotshot carrier, and this is my compliance clinic where we make trucking compliance make sense, much like biscuits and chocolate gravy at Grandma's made sense. Peanuts and cheerwine for my Carolina folks. Anyway, today we're breaking down IRP cab cards and IFTA fuel tax, specifically for the CDL hotshot operators. This is where a lot of people get mixed up, especially as new authorities who haven't really spent much time in trucking compliance and all the fun that it entails. So we're going to break this down to make it as easy as we can. It's going to be a bit of a long video. Y'all stick with me. Section 1. What is an IRP cab card? Let's start with IRP. It's a little easier to understand because it's really just weights. IRP stands for the International Registration Plan. It's basically an agreement between 48 states, DC, and 10 Canadian provinces that allows you to run interstate with one plate and one card. They're sharing all that tax money. Instead of buying a plate for every single state you would be going through, which it would be a freaking headache, you would register in your base state, get one apportioned plate, and carry one IRP cab card. That cab card proves your truck is legally registered to operate in multiple states, and yes, you must carry it in the truck at all times. So why does an IRP apply to CDL hotshots? Section 2. Here's where everybody messes up. A lot of people think it's just a pickup. IRP wouldn't apply. Wrong. Dead wrong. This is hotshots specifically dead wrong. This is not just big trucks. This is about weights and these minimum and maximum weights that the federal government has set for the different taxes that they want to collect on you and your business. You need IRP if you operate interstate and your truck and trailer are 26,001 pounds or more GCWR, or you have 3 or more axles regardless of weight. So there's your little tricky one. You know, Wile E. Coyote DOT guy, he might know that. He might get you a ticket, pull you off the road. Most Class A CDL hotshot combinations meet this threshold even with using your, little tiny Dodge Ram pickup. If you're running interstate at these specific weights, IRP is not optional. It is all about the weights. And y'all probably know that as CDL holders, you're going to be on these higher weight thresholds anyway. It's the non-CDL guys that get more tripped up, but at the end of the day, it's the rules are all about your weight. What are you empty? And that's why people get messed up when they think, oh, I'm just going to go with 35, 4500, the 350, the 450, get all this extra stuff. All of that is added weight on your vehicle, and it can change how much weight you can carry on the road without having to have certain rigs. Again, that usually applies more for my non-CDL guys. You CDL guys can carry pretty much as you want to. Sometimes you need the special placards and whatnot, but most of the time, at the end of the day, if you're running on your F350 with your 40-foot trailer, you are going to need to be paying IRP with an apportioned plate. Section 3. What the IRP cab card shows. Your IRP cab card tells enforcement your truck VIN, your plate number, which states you're registered to run in, your registered gross weight, so that's that empty weight, and the effective and expiration dates of all this stuff. The officers use it to check 2 things. Are you in a state that you're registered for? Because if not, they're going to probably try to make you be towed, or they're going to want you to buy a temporary permit for where you're going through. The other thing they're going to check is, are you operating at or below your registered weight? If the answer is no, you've got a problem, right? Which CDL, it's not going to matter as much about that. Section 4. Common IRP mistakes hotshots make. Here are the big ones I see. They're running interstate without an IRP. They're carrying only a regular vehicle registration. They're operating in states not listed on the cab card. If you are running through Oklahoma better well be listed in your IRP cab card. Some of them have punch holes, some of them it's printed and listed out. Registering too low of a weight to save money, don't do it. Just don't do it. The fine is higher than the money you would have saved. Not updating IRP after equipment changes. So this would apply more for if you have multiple trailers, multiple trucks, your fleet. So you run here, you drop there, you're changing trucks all the time. Every time you hop into that specific equipment, it needs to have the correct cab card in it. Any one of these tickets can get you, any one of these things can get you tickets, out of service orders, back taxes, and penalties. Saving a few bucks on registration can end up costing you thousands roadside. So a lot of people, the way that I set up my company, if you own the truck, you are going to pay for the plates on it. It seemed too confusing to me and too risky for this guy to be running around on a truck that I didn't own, but he wanted me to pay for the special plates on. Now, some carriers do it that way. We just chose to go this other direction with it. There are third-party companies that you can hire to fill out the information at the DMV to get the right plates. If you like spending extra money to do that, go for it. It should be done accurately. That is the one thing, but you can figure out how to do it yourself. Go into the DMV, get the right forms. And here's the fun part. When they send those forms and that plate to you, please check it. Please go in and check that the state has sent you the right thing. We hired a guy, CDL, fantastic man. He hired a third party to fill out the forms, sent it to the state. He got his tags back. He hit the road. Everything was hunky-dory. Something got missed in communication. The state had put him at a lower weight than his CDL license. So they had him registered below 26,000 pounds on what he could carry. He gets out into somewhere in the Midwest. I don't even remember where. The officer pulls him over because the IRP, because they can see it on the tag, didn't match. And he's like, what? What are you doing, dude? And the driver, he was like, but I paid these people like $300 or $400 to make sure this was all registered and I was good to go. We ended up he didn't get an out of service. Very lucky, because the driver was smart and he got on the phone with us immediately and he said, hey, this is what's going on. They want me to buy a temporary permit so that I can continue through on this trip. So we got him the temporary permit, saved our butts, let him deliver that load and then get back home so he could figure out the plate issue. And the officer, I think, only gave him like a $200 ticket rather than an out of service and a tow away, which is legally what he could have done because he was completely running under the wrong plates. But the driver was very genuine about it. We had proof that we had tried to purchase these things and the state had messed up. Not the third party person, not the driver, the state. They hadn't recorded the right thing. They hadn't sent the right tag. But to be fair, my compliance people missed it, the driver people missed it, and the third party that had ordered it missed that the state didn't do the right thing. So at the end of the day, we had to pay $200, plus I think it was like a $50 day permit to be in that state. He went home and he was off the road for 2 weeks until the state decided to finally send the right paperwork over. So it cost time, it cost money, but it saved us some out of service stuff. Check your papers, check your forms. Just because you did the right thing on your end does not mean that the employee, government, or otherwise on the other end did the right thing that they're supposed to do. Always check. Section 5, IRP versus trip permits. Isn't that a funny thing to bring up? Some startups try to avoid IRP using trip permits, but you're going to be spending way more money than it's worth to do that, unless you are mostly staying in your home state. Here's the reality. Trip permits are temporary, they're state specific, and they limit how often you can use them sometimes. So repeated trip permits will absolutely get enforcement's attention. Trip permits are not a long-term substitute for IRP. If you are a CDL, just pay. It's going to be like $600, $700, $800. Just do it once and get it over with. It's not worth trying to be sketchy about this. Section 6, how IRP connects to IFTA, because these two things usually go hand in hand. We're going to talk about IFTA for a little bit. IFTA stands for the International Fuel Tax Agreement. So instead of paying fuel tax in every state, oh yes, they tax us on everything. They want all the money. Instead of paying fuel tax in every state, you would register in your base state, track miles driven per state, file quarterly IFTA reports. Fuel tax is settled on paper, not roadside, so never pay anything to anybody roadside for that stuff. IRP is about registration and weight. IFTA is about fuel taxes and mileage. They are separate, but enforcement compares them. They're looking for something to not match up. They want to give you a ticket. They want to make sure you're not being fraudulent and sketchy. Mismatch equals audit. So, Section 7, when IFTA is required for hotshots. You need IFTA if you operate interstate. and your vehicle is 26,001 pounds or more, or has 3 or more axles. Again, that's most CDL rigs, hotshot or not. You're going to be paying IFTA taxes. So once you're registered with IFTA, which would be through the state that your home base is in, where your carrier's home base is. Let me clarify that. So we have hired people across the nation. We've had people in Texas, New Jersey, Alabama, Georgia, Alaska. All right. So we hire remotely sometimes as a new company. The Alaska guy is not going to go and register for the Alaska IFTA. I am going to do it as the carrier where my terminal base is, which is in Alabama. So we went through Alabama DMV, which is a joy to try to use. Once you pay it, they'll send you 2 IFTA decals for the truck and an IFTA license you keep in the cab. No decals, that's a big issue. They'll check those at weigh stations and everything else. They have instructions on where they want the decals situated, but you need it at the same spot on both sides of the truck, usually on the inside of the door, and then you need to keep that IFTA license in the cab. They'll give you a temporary IFTA license because it takes them 2 or 3 weeks to mail this stuff to you. If you're lucky, it's only 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes it's longer. They'll give you a 30-day IFTA license to use on the road so that you're not having to pay all this stuff up front and then wait around for a month to get these papers in the mail before you can hit the road. All of a sudden, you got a month's worth of bills due, right? You spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get on the road. They'll give you a license. You can go ahead and hit the road. You just got to pay. All right, Section 8, IFTA real life example. Here's how it works in real life. So let's say I buy fuel in Alabama. I drive through Tennessee and Kentucky. At the end of the recorder, I would report the miles I traveled per state and report where I purchased fuel. IFTA calculates what I owe to those other states or if I get a credit. So the reason they did this is to try to help with all these heavy weights going through and tearing up the roads. They wanted an equal way to spread out the cost of repair across the states for all these commercial vehicles. America runs on trucking. You can't get around it. But the heavy loads do cause a lot of potholes and, so this was a way to sort of spread the cost and make sure everybody got their fair share of the pot, because you may not stop. You may be traveling all the way till you have to take your first break. So all those states where you didn't purchase fuel, they want the money to be able to fix their roads too, because you still dragged like 30,000 pounds worth of things through there and tore up the road, right? So that's why this works the way it does. IFTA calculates what you owe other states, or if you get a credit. Sometimes you get it back, most of the time not. You don't pay fuel tax at the scale house, but you will pay later if your records are wrong. So make sure that you're logging in your ELD where you got gas, or that you have a specific fuel card or credit card you're using for specifically your trucking gas, or you're keeping your receipts, and maybe do all 3. They have receipt scanners with QuickBooks. It's pretty easy. Hop in the truck, scan that receipt. QuickBooks keeps it. You've got one dedicated place to keep track. These are tax deductions if you're a 1099 or if you're a solo owner operator. And you also have to go back to your home base state, the DMV, and report this stuff on the IFTA page and pay taxes on it like we just talked about. So you're using these records multiple ways. Keep track of it. People used to ride around, I swear, with boxes in the back of their trucks just for receipts, but now we do have scanners and there's digital banking and all this, so it's a little bit easier. Keep track of it. You may want to hire a bookkeeper, guys. This is a lot of financial stuff. A tax advisor, a bookkeeper, that may be a good idea, especially because you can take a lot of deductions those first few years that you're in business. You may show you're not making quite as much as you thought. There may be deductions as a self-employed person you didn't know you could take. Get professional help. That's what these people are here for, to save you a lot of money from paying Uncle Sam. Section 9, IFTA record keeping. Very important. So I kind of just went over this, got ahead of myself. IFTA audits are brutal if your paperwork is sloppy. You must keep records for 4 years, including the fuel receipts, mileage by state, odometer, or ELD data. A lot of ELDs have the ability to put it in there. You might go ahead and do that. ELDs help, but they do not replace record keeping. And remember, The carrier maintains the IFTA records. A leased on 1099 driver may deduct fuel costs, but compliance still belongs on the head of the carrier. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So just keep track of everything. Never throw any paper away. We understand why all of our grandparents were hoarders now. Love you, boomers. Section 10. Common IFTA mistakes. No IFTA decals, you're pulled. Filing late or skipping 0-mile quarters, you're getting fined. Poor fuel receipts. When you get audited, if you can't prove, you're in trouble. Estimating mileage and forgetting the annual renewal. Don't forget to renew. They can scan it while you're driving down the road. They will pull you over, and they will tow you away if they possibly can. They love to make it dramatic. These mistakes can lead to back taxes, penalties, IRP suspension, and the dreaded out-of-service orders. Just keep organized. Section 11, Owner-Operator Reality Check. If you're a CDL, Hotshot Owner-Operator, you are responsible for IRP and IFTA. Brokers and dispatchers do not handle this. Tickets follow the truck and carrier, not the broker. They get off scot-free. We gotta figure them out, y'all. The carrier carries the responsibility, as they say. Leasing on doesn't transfer compliance responsibility. And so you'll see they'll usually find the carrier and find the driver. One or the other sometimes, depending on who they felt messed up the most. It just depends. Alright, y'all, here's the takeaway. IRP and IFTA are not paperwork. They're enforcement triggers. They are paperwork, but it's mostly about enforcement. The government won't stay money. If your registered weight, fuel reports, and scale data don't match, the DOT is going to eventually find you. It'll catch up with you. That's why we covered it in the compliance clinic today. Don't forget, y'all, I have all of this written down, all of these forms, all of these links available in my packet that I've made. It's available on Gumroad. And if you liked this video, if it helped you out, if it explained some things in plain freaking English, which is what we all need, like the video, subscribe, share it with people who you think are running hot, hot in their hot shot. And in the next video, we're going to be going over, we've gone over a lot of the big files people get confused to date. We're going to go into some of the littler things that you don't see quite as often in the hotshot world. Some of the other stuff like the skill performance evaluation certificate, vehicle insurance, the commercial insurance, stuff like that. So y'all stick with me. We're going to keep plugging through trucking and trying to make it understandable to those of us who just don't want to get a ticket. I'm the Hotshot Doc, y'all. Keeping you legal one regulation at a time. Roll Tide and roll on.